One of the biggest changes in Football Manager 2019 is the new tactics system and the new tactics induction tutorial that goes alongside it. In this video, we are going to be taking an in-depth look at all this shiny new stuff. Hello folks, and welcome to my in-depth look at the new tactics system in Football Manager 2019. I'm Kev. I'm producing lots of Football Manager 2019 videos at the moment. I'm down at Sports Interactive in London. There's another couple of videos that have hit the channel pretty much right now, so make sure you check them when you're done. We've got a first look at the game, plus we've got an in-depth look at the new training system, but there's going to be so much stuff coming out over the next few days that I'm recording over the course of this weekend down at Sports Interactive. So before you do anything else, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications on, because there's going to be a lot of stuff thrown at you over the next few days. But this video is all about tactics, which long-time viewers of the channel will know has always been a major strength of mine in all of my videos. Thankfully, there is a tactics induction, a proper tutorial to how the new tactics system works, because boy oh boy do I need it if this is going to be the year that I finally move away from the 4-3-1-2. So let's get straight into it. Let's take the tactics induction and introduce ourselves to the faceless man up in the top corner of the screen who says, "It's time to talk tactics." You bet it's time to talk tactics, faceless man. To begin with, you'll be given some options about which tactic to build. Once you're finished, I'll be back to help you with a few more things you might want to consider. What a helpful man. So, let's set up a tactic. Here are some common tactical styles that you can use as a foundation for your own approach. Though you have full creative freedom here to explore and create your own personalised tactic, and we've got all the fancy, trendy tactics that you can possibly think of, plus some of the good old-fashioned ones like Route 1 and whatnot down the bottom. So loads of choices of like preset tactics. So these are tactics that if you know in your mind the way you want your team to play, but you haven't got the first idea how to translate that into Football Manager, this is going to be a great starting point for you. I very much put myself in that category. So we can choose control possession, gegenpress, tiki-taka, vertical tiki-taka, wing play, Route 1, fluid counter-attack, direct counter-attack, catenaccio, and park the bus. Or if you really want to be fancy, and I am absolutely not starting off here, you can create your own tactic, your own style completely from scratch. But I'm thinking we're down in League One. As much as I would like to tiki-taka my way out of League One, I don't know that we've quite got it in us, and I don't want to go do any of the counter-attacking defensive stuff. I mean, as much as I'm trying to learn tactics, I'm still Kev. I'm not going to go defensive because it'll bore me. I'll just be bored. So I think what we're going to be doing is wing play, which I know is not the typical arena you would expect me to partake in. My views on wingers in the past have been very, very public, but they don't have Kev's 4-3-1-2 on here as a tactical style. So I've got to start somewhere. We're going to try wingers, and plus, as we are doing this with my beloved Peterborough United, we are pretty blessed with some pretty decent wingers as well. So it probably is going to be a tactical style that's going to really suit the players that we've got at the club. So with wing play, you look to get quality crosses into the box and overload the wide areas. We get this pretty little animation to show us how wing play works. And this is helpful for me because I wasn't sure, but apparently it involves having a player out wide in an attacking position, which, I mean, what will they think of next? And they then cross the ball into a fella in the middle whose job is to score. So it gives a little summary of what wing play is. Players look to get the ball out wide as early as possible, while fullbacks will look to overlap and exploit the wide areas. Once the ball is out wide, the main focus will be to cross the ball into the box. In this system, it recommends a balanced mentality. These are all recommendations. This isn't stuff that you're stuck to. You can completely change all of this, but this is the stuff that will be on there as your preset. So in possession, it's going to be more direct passing, pass into space, focus play down both flanks, look for overlap, higher tempo and much wider. In the new transition, it's going to distribute to flanks and be counter-attacking. And when we're out of possession, they're going to lower the line of engagement and have a higher pressing intensity. It also suggests which tactics, which formations work better with this tactical style. So for a wing play tactical style, the game suggests 4-4-2, 4-1-4-1 or 4-2-4 as formations, obviously, that include wingers. And again, you don't have to choose those. So if we go on another screen where we get the formations, it's got the three that it suggests, but you can pick any of the other options. If you want to try and do a wing play system with a 4-2-2-2 DM narrow, You can. I'm not a tactical genius. Even I would suggest that probably won't work. But at the same time, I know there are going to be some geniuses knocking around on the Steam Workshop when all this stuff gets up and running who will make it their life's mission to get that to work. And you'll see versions that somehow manage to get that to work once people get more used to the new tactical infrastructure. But I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to pick one of the suggested wing play formations. And I think we're going to go for the 4-2-4 wide, mainly because I know the squad that I'm dealing with, and I know one of our best players is an out-and-out winger. He can't play wide midfield, so it kind of rules out the 4-4-2, so we need to get him into the team somewhere. And my other option would be a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-2-4. I ain't doing no one striker formations. What do you think this is? Are you new? We're going to do 4-2-4 wide. And then the game, super helpfully, recommends the player roles that work well with this formation and this tactical style. So it has wing backs, one on attack, one on support. In the middle, we've got a box-to-box midfielder and a ball-winning midfielder, two wingers, one on support, one on attack, a target man on support, and an advanced forward on attack. And again, you can change all of this stuff, but this is recommended as a good starting point. It's for those of you who would maybe always go and download a tactic or go and read about a tactic that you might want to use. It's going to be kind of a way around not having to do that now, because if you know you want to play an attacking system with wingers, bang, there it is, and you need to get players who fit into that system. Easy peasy. So let's confirm that, and the faceless man is back. So your created tactic will become the primary trained tactic. This will be your club's tactical identity and will aid your assistant in setting up weekly training schedules. Remember, there is another video specifically looking at training, which you can find on the channel as soon as you're done with this one. You can also create 2 alternate tactics that will be trained for familiarity. So we'll have 3 different tactics that we're able to use, just like on previous versions of Football Manager. And then we get this new section down the side here. So tactics are broken down into 3 main areas: in possession, in transition, and out of possession. And then each one of those has their own team instructions within there as well. Instructions are used. Instructions used in possession are for when your team have the ball. Obviously. Thanks, faceless man. These will define how wide the team plays, how they approach attacking situations, and what they're going to do in the final third approaching the goal. And it has lots of pretty little graphical representations on there as well. So this is stuff, we're quite familiar with this graphical setup from previous versions of Football Manager, so this shouldn't look too new and too daunting, hopefully. In transition, defines situations where the players either lose possession or win it back, as well as when the goalkeeper has the ball. So this is the new bit. So we have a section for when the ball has been lost, which at the moment is set to a counter press and regroup. A section for when possession has been won, so we're going to counter and hold our shape. And also the goalkeeper in possession, so how the goalkeeper is going to distribute the ball, where they're going to put it, how quickly they're going to put it there. This is the stuff that used to live in the player instructions for goalkeepers. And then during phases out of possession, you need to get your defensive line's position, as well as how aggressively you intend to mark, press and tackle the opposition to recover the ball. And this is where we get the defensive line, which we can move up and down. I can't do it yet because we're in the tutorial, but I'll show you that in a second. And also the brand new line of engagement, and you can put that where you want it as well, plus adjust things like pressing. The last thing you need to do is pick the starting lineup or ask for assistance from a member of the coaching team. The good old quick pick is still there for those of you who are worried that quick pick might be gone, because for some reason Sports Interactive don't focus on quick pick when they're publishing all of the new features of the game. For me, it's the most important feature. There you go, it's done a quick pick for us. So the tactic is now ready to go. Here's a provisional squad that best suits it, and then it just goes into a little bit more detail about how the player roles and stuff work. So each player within the starting 11 is assigned a role. These roles dictate the instructions given to the player within that position, and this is all stuff. This was in FM18. We're familiar with this. We're familiar with the little circles that show how well suited to a position a player will be. Roles, duties, and instructions can be assigned to the position itself or to a particular player when they play in that position. So again, same as it was in FM18, you can have it set up so that your left back is always a wing back on attack, or you can have it so that when you've got so-and-so playing left back, he's a wing back on attack, but when you bring on his buddy, he becomes a no-nonsense fullback, I think is one of the new things that's in there. And so you don't have to adjust that yourself when he comes on. The player's suitability for each role is an important indicator as to how well he will play there. Thank you, faceless man. Team fluidity, and this is new and different. Not team fluidity, but how it works. So team fluidity reflects the shape and structure of the team based on the roles and duties selected. A setup where defenders and midfielders are more likely to join the attack will be more fluid than one where players are instructed to stay back and maintain their shape. So previously, fluidity is something we set ourselves, whereas now fluidity is a result of what you do elsewhere in your tactical style. So depending on what player roles and what team instructions you give, that will then the game will then tell you how fluid your tactic is going to be based on that other stuff. And that's a big change, and I think that's pretty cool because, full disclosure, I never really understood how team fluidity worked in the first place. So I quite like the fact it's explaining something to me rather than expecting me to tell it something now. The positions and roles assigned to your players will do. That's what you just said. You just showed me it on a different screen. Thanks, faceless man. Pay close attention to the fitness and condition of the players you select. Players close to 100% in each area will be more likely to play to their full abilities, whereas tired players will play at a lower level and be at a heightened risk of injury. Again, nothing new there. We know how that works, and we can finish off the induction there and delve into it in a little bit more detail. So you can go into each of these individual sections. So we can go into our in possession, transition, or out of possession, and this is where we can start adjusting stuff. Now, I do have some bad news for you. I know people got very excited when they saw sliders. They're not full-on sliders. They're graphically represented as sliders, but they are actually just representations of what was already there before. So, for example, on directness, we can't say we want to be that direct. You can either be standard or more direct. It's got to be one of the two. You can't set it somewhere in between. For me, it's fine. I don't know that there's a massive difference between being that direct and that direct, but it's not going to be able to be adjusted in that kind of minute detail. But the rest of this stuff is all fairly familiar on this screen. In transition, you can choose different options. So you can say, do we want to counter press? Do we want to regroup? At the moment, we had nothing set. Which I guess we'll just leave it as that if that's what the system is set up for. If we want to add one of those on at some point, it gives us an explanation of each one is. So counter press asks the players to immediately try and get the ball back, whereas regroup is they go and get back in position. Leaving both off means they'll just kind of try and use their nous, which, you know, League One players, it's all about nous at this level. Same with when possession has been lost. So we're saying when we win possession, we want to counter attack. We want to get forward as quickly as possible. The other option would be to hold the shape, let the team get themselves sorted out, take a more patient approach. And then out of possession, this is where we can adjust our defensive line by moving it up and down, and it does tell you in words for idiots like me what impact you're having by moving your defensive line. So if I drag it all the way back there, it tells me that that's a much lower defensive line. So if I want to keep things standard, I don't have to guess where standard is. It tells me that's a standard defensive line. You don't need to mess around too much with it. And with our line of engagement, you can move that independently from your defensive line. And we're just going to leave everything on the standard wing play sections for now and see how it looks in the match engine back on their first look video that came out just slightly earlier today. But we're going to leave it with a lower line of engagement. We can adjust our pressing and stuff on there as well. And then the other thing we can do is set up our other tactics. So we've got tactic number 1. We can hit the little plus button, set up another one as well. So we want, I don't know, say we want another wing play tactic. So we've got one. We want to be a team that's all about our wing play. So let's have another wing play tactic, but with a different formation. Maybe we can do a 4-1-4-1 that we're also training as well. We can confirm that. That's now on there as tactic number 2. So that's something that's going to be taken into account in our training as well. But tactic 1 is still our primary tactic. And then if we want something completely different as a third tactic, let's say we want to park the bus, we can set up a park the bus tactic as well. Leave it as a 4-4-2 because that's similar to the tactic we're using anyway, or we could do a 4-1-4-1. I'm going to leave it as a 4-4-2, I think. And I'll get stuck into this a lot more the deeper into the game I get. But we now have our 3 tactics on there. We can move between the 3 of them, and the training will then be targeted specifically to those, which we'll look at in a little bit more detail on the training video. But for now, we are going to leave things there, because that was the tactics tutorial and an in-depth look at the new tactics system. As I say, there is going to be a video about the training system in a similar way, plus a first look at the whole of the game that are all already down on the channel. They're down in the description. Plus, I will be starting my first beta save on the game very, very, very soon, so keep an eye out for that as well. If you have enjoyed this one, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager 2019 videos, and thank you very much for watching.